Are you kidding me?
No, that's fitting because it started off with an evil laugh, and I'm glad that it came from you because somebody saw you. I'm glad somebody heard you being a heel, like it caught you red-handed.
Wow. No wonder you already turned your turncoat with the Detroit hat on. I saw a thing that said Orioles lose another winnable game, and then you say that's what I get.
No, here's my thing. First of all, when the Orioles are doing good, I don't support other teams, but this is a very fancy looking letter that represents my name. So they're fourth. I'm going to go with it
What's
today.
up with that? Everybody like wearing hats that represent the name. I refuse to wear Boston hat, whatever. Like,
but you did not refuse to wear navy blue Yankees hat with your little graduation outfit and the button up and the Bluetooth in your ear 13 years ago. Now did you?
Hey, that's right. Yankees has a fashion statement.
No, don't do that. So is this the Detroit Tigers? Come on now. This is the
no,
Black
I said
Series
that was wrong. I said I don't wear hats to like how some people like I know a lot of people with first name T, they'll wear a Texas Rangers hat.
Sure.
And so you wearing the D Detroit. I ain't gonna say you look like you're in a Tubi movie right now. But
come on, man, don't do that. Don't kill me. Oh my goodness. I'm glad everybody sees this. Brian H is healing. Brian H is definitely healing. Right.
I don't get too many up on you. So I'm gonna take it back.
That was a good one, though. That was good. And I'm glad that everybody saw and heard because we are back. And guess what? It's fitting for tonight's show because it's going to be a little bit of it has a very heelish vibe to it. And I blame Brother Hugh. Now, he will be on here momentarily, but this show was completely inspired by him because tonight we want all the smoke. And no, I'm not referring to the Street Profits. We are going to talk about, did AEW actually have a better weekend than WWE? One show versus two shows. We are going to dig into it. We're not going to waste any time. We're not going to cut any cards because you know what? We haven't had a show like this in a long time. And Brian H is already starting off with his heelish tactics, even though the show is inspired by Brother Hugh. But as soon as he gets on, we're going to dedicate it to him. Here we go.
Problem. Yes!
To the Wrestling Realm Now podcast, where we take a deeper dive into the world of professional wrestling. Now, I am your host, the realist himself, the realist. I said the realist twice. The real Dwayne Allen. I am in the building, and he is your host, Mr. Super Producer. Brother Hugh has the third H to the A to the S, T to the H to the E, 3 to the R to the D in the building, and he is your host, not just any guy, but the belt guy, Brandon, the guy in his newly renovated wrestling museum that we're going to see sooner. And he is your host, the man, the myth, the legend, the founder, the creator of the wrestling realm, the man who discovered us all and has officially, still in 2025, turned heel, and he has led this show off in very heelish fashion. Hollywood. Brian H. Waters is in the building. Everything's so dramatic and drawn up. I can tell. And that's the vibe of tonight's show, because I got a feeling we might be all heels by the time this is all said and done. But welcome to another edition of the Wrestling Realm Now podcast. Now, gentlemen, I hope your seatbelts are buckled, is because tonight I'm not going to say it's going to get us canceled, but we're going to veer off the beaten path, as they say, an area that we don't always dive into. But you know what? I said, you know what? Brother Hugh had said something. I'm glad he's on. Brother Hugh said something halfway through. I don't know what day it was. Maybe Sunday. Say, hey man, comment. I said, oh really? I'm not even going to ask any details until this show, because I knew for a fact the best version of these conversations happen best in live on the air. So we are going to talk about it today. But before we get into the main event of our show, the meat and potatoes, we are going to get into a few things. right?
Mhm.
We're going to ask a few questions. We are going to potentially review a few things. And in case you don't understand or know what direction I'm heading in, every Tuesday at 8 p.m., there is a show. There is a program. There's something on the Wrestling Realm platform that brings the culture of championship glory together. I don't know why I did a Vince voice right there. Championship glory together. And that show is known as Championship Culture, where Brandon the Guy and Brother Hugh, they bring us everything in championship culture conversations and more, including unboxings, including reviews, including special guests. Now, why am I taking a brief pause from my normal routine? Because season 3 has ended and season 4 has officially been announced for June 10th. So every Tuesday at 8 p.m., you will be able to go to youtube.com/The Wrestling Realm and head over to Playlist Championship Culture and watch all of season 4 as it is thrust upon us in just a few weeks. I figured that out, the boys. But with that being said, this is the part of the show where we have got to try to figure out, and we were relatively successful last week, what exactly season 4 has intel for us. But in the meantime, enjoy the theme music. I did not hit it. That's okay. Hold on. Here it goes. Let's try this again. The theme music. And that's what we were all waiting for. So, like I said, Championship Culture Season 4 officially announced for June 10th, every Tuesday, 8 p.m. on all of the Wrestling Realm platforms. Not really, but just YouTube and Twitter, but we're working on some other things. It's okay. But this is the time where we have to try to figure out what exactly is going on. We need an update. Now, last week, the Orioles had won. Sorry, Brian H. He called me a turncoat because of my hat, but it's fine. Last week, the Orioles won. And Brother Guy, first and foremost, welcome back to the show. You were missing last week, but we know you were out there doing your service as a human being, as a humanitarian, on your missions trip, feeding orphan chickens off the coast of Nicaragua. So we definitely applaud you, just for your humanitarian efforts. That's just. I mean, I take these things serious. Let's give Brother Guy a round of applause for his humanitarian efforts. What he's done. Can you guys hear the applause? I can't tell if it's playing.
Loud and clear. Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah, we hear.
All right. So we just want to give Brother Guy a round of applause for his humanitarian efforts. But we are back, and Brother Hugh was in such a good mood, Brother Guy. I don't know if he told you this or you even saw it, but he gave us some tidbits. And I'm talking about Brother Hugh never gives us tidbits. And it's almost turned into a gimmick. Every week I try to do something to convince Brother Hugh. And thank God that the Orioles actually won a game, because we're back to that, living that life. And he was telling us things. I said, this is the most you've ever told us, even when the show was on the air. So I'm here, and I'm back in that same spirit to see if we can get another. I mean, last week's show flowed so well. You know what I mean? And I think it's because we started it off with some information about what season 4 of Championship Culture has to bring us. Now, Brother Guy, you're making that face. You're trying to be hard. You're trying to be stone cold Steve Austin right now. You're trying to be. Listen, I'm just going to ask. The people want to know. The fans are waiting. We know we got a date. We got some information. I don't know if Brother Hugh's supposed to say the information, but he does whatever he wants to do, and he calls you a gump in the process. He didn't call Brian H. a gump one time last show. I was like, oh my gosh, he's really in one of these moves. I didn't realize baseball had that strong an effect on him, but it's okay. Season 4, brothers, come on, give us something. We're so close. What, if anything, can you give us something to look forward to besides the dates? Beside that, an alleged new museum has been constructed for championship belts, a new set from what I'm hearing. But what else can we expect from Championship Culture while we patiently await for the first episode of season 4?
Oh my brother. I know you are dying to know.
Sorry.
So I'm gonna tell you, in season 4 of Championship.
Okay. Wow. Clever.
He
Clever.
muted
He hit the mute button.
That's crazy.
Uh-huh.
That's wild.
Oh wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool. Guess what?
That's great.
And every belt has a story.
Oh,
Amen.
Did I sum it up, Hugh? Was that it?
Amen.
um,
No, you
oh
didn't.
my
Oh,
gosh.
You know it didn't.
oh,
And Brian, you looking rather gumpish tonight. Now you
okay.
finished.
There it is. There it
Okay.
is, brother. He's
There you go.
hey,
So I did
I'm,
get a
I'm,
tidbit
I'm
about
just,
season 4. So you should be for those who didn't want to watch, go back and watch it, and you'll get a good tidbit about season 4.
oh my gosh. Guess what? Oh, you guys are real funny. You championship culture guys have a sense of humor. So I guess we're just going to have to wait until June 10th, where we get the debut episode of Championship Culture Season 4. I got one more. I'm just gonna try one more thing, Brian Nation. One more thing. Let's see if this works. Look, give me like a hand signal if I can't see their faces. So give me a hand signal if this works. Okay. Oh, guys, Season 4. The first episode, right, has got to have something to it. I'm trying to figure out what exactly do you guys, I mean, talk to me. Something has got to give, right? Something has got to give. What is the first episode even like remotely in the area of? What are we thinking? What are we talking? Just a hint, something.
I'm gonna give you this hint. All right. What does our good friend King Coley say on Tuesdays?
Hold on. Don't put your
No,
sunglasses
I'm
on.
asking you a question.
He's ducking
No,
though,
I'm
brother.
asking you a question.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
What
Go
does
ahead.
King Coley say on Tuesdays?
talk to me, baby.
And what else? What does he
King
call
Coley
it?
coming
Hashtag
through?
what? I didn't say that. I said, what does he say? I didn't say he was coming
That's
through. What does
gimmick
he say?
infringement. I can't say
He
the
said-
rest if he's not coming through the show. That's my brother right there. I can't do the rest.
All right. If you listen to the question, what's his hashtag? What does he say? And he posts all the time.
Titles on Tuesdays?
What is it? Okay. There
I don't know.
you
Is
go.
that it? Is that the gimmick?
Now you're cooking with some gasoline.
Interesting.
Yes.
I feel like we're going to get like some type of belt creator Avengers moment or something coming soon. I don't know. You guys are always talking about Voltron and creating these things, but
That is true.
if that's all we can get, I guess I'm going to have to settle because we have to.
It'll
move
be a
forward.
title Tuesday for real.
Huh. Interesting.
I wonder what that means.
I think that's fair to say, isn't it? That should keep Dwayne interested until next week when he asks us again.
You know what? I might do some investigation. I might do some digging. That's fine. I'm going to figure it out.
Oh boy.
But until then, I guess we're
I
going
don't
to have
think
to
you can
wait
figure
and
this one out, though. I don't think you can.
I don't know. I'll ask ChatGPT and see if they can come up with something for me. Well, who knows?
You ever
But
check
in the
your
meantime,
name?
say what?
You ever ask you ever ask ChatGPT who is the real Dwayne Allen?
I might do that right now. Hold on. Let me just. I'm going to pull it up and I'm going to do it at a random break. Hold on. Time out. All right, there it is. I got it pulled up. So until then, since we have to wait, the championship culture, the Warriors are losing. So brother Hugh's not budging. He put his shades on. He ain't want no smoke, no problem, nothing.
I thought the
That's
game
fine.
was over.
It's over.
No, that's fine.
They just lost.
It doesn't make a difference.
Oh, they just lost?
Of course they
Yeah.
did.
So it is what it is. But if you are patiently awaiting for season 4, episode 1 of Championship Culture, you're just going to have to wait until next week, and you're going to have to go back and watch all of season 3, catch up on that. All of season 2, catch up on that. All of season 1, catch up on that. No mustard. And all the bonus episodes, including Brother Claus opening and unboxing some very special holiday championship belts. Some of my favorite thumbnails created by super producer Brother Hugh has the third. And enjoy some of the championship culture glory until we finally get the arrival of season 4. Excuse me. With that being said, we always have to move things forward. Brian, it's a shock. You see them? What happened?
Adam Cole took a nasty bump.
Yeah,
Ugh.
Kyle Fletcher. It was bad.
Uh-oh. Oh, geez.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
It's got to put some meat on your bones, brother. Every week on the Wrestling Rundown podcast, we like to open the show with a little bit of information, right? We like to get an opportunity for the fans to understand the host of the show that much more better. You have different flavors of wrestling and backgrounds, where we all come from. And we want the fans to get us to know us just a tad bit better than before. So we started something called Wrestling Realm Facts, where we ask certain questions and you can get a better idea of who we are as wrestling fans. And on the reverse end, we have an alternating segment known as Unpopular Opinion, where the hosts share an unpopular opinion of theirs, and guess what? You can't argue with it. Now, once again, Brother Hugh and his heelish tactics, he started this off with a bang, and I feel like it's cast this dark side of the ring type shadow over our show, but yet it seems to be like, man, it's every time we do it, it kind of disrupts the entire show because in the back of your mind, it's something you want to make a point about or argue, but you can't. So that's the beauty of Unpopular Opinion. And guess what? This week, it is our Unpopular Opinion Week segment. So, like I said, gentlemen, are you prepared to share this week's unpopular opinions with the rest of the wrestling community? You guys ready to do this? I'm preparing to drum roll. All right, here we go. Unpopular opinion. Who wants to go first and share this week's unpopular opinion with the rest of the world?
Well,
that sounds like you, Burnage. What you got?
Man, shout out to big bro Jermaine in the building. Yeah, so make sure y'all check out his pod. His pod just ended. You know, when I saw the title for this show, it's AEW. Did AEW have a better weekend than WWE? I'm not going to answer that question just yet,
but I can't wait when you do.
But I have to say, I thought about something, and this also great guy who won in the main event, Adam Hangman Page. And my unpopular opinion is that Adam Hangman Page has reached his ceiling. Wow. Simply to have Aura no more.
You didn't even let me do the drum roll. So.
Oh,
just look at that. Oh boy. Wow. Man. Well, let's put it this way. I know I can't debate or disagree, but I can't say that
I don't. Hey.
I like what you did there.
See, that was smooth, right? Wow. Adam Page has reached his ceiling, or no more. I can't wait till we have this conversation.
Let me just say this. I got to do this for my good sister. Shout out to Ashley Baker.
Because,
you know, she said that about my quarterback a few years ago in like 2019.
Who's your quarterback?
The greatest quarterback ever to come out of Louisville.
Lamar Jackson. He better be talking about Lamar.
At least about to say Joe Flacco. I didn't know what was going on. Okay,
well,
all right.
You know, I'm saying better than Unitas, better than Flacco. Flacco didn't come out of Louisville, but yeah, Lamar Jackson, the greatest quarterback. But you know, she said that he had reached his ceiling, and Lamar just went on to win 2 more MVPs. One they didn't give to him because of voters fatigue. Now, can Adam Page do the same thing? He's going to win some AEW titles, but can he create that aura? Can he bring dollars to the company? Can he bring eyeballs? Can he sell tickets? Can he put butts in seats? I don't think so.
Oops, my finger slipped.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
My bad. That was a technical difficulty. I don't know why that popped up.
I have a question. Why is Swerve talking to Adam Page?
Fight forever.
Why?
Why? I mean, wasn't there a house burning involved? Listen, we're not going to talk bad about AEW because remember, we like AEW now. It's okay.
We do.
You seem perturbed by this, brother. You'll say, "Why is he talking to him?" Oh yeah, wait a minute. Didn't he burn down his house or something? I wouldn't talk to you.
Come on now.
Anyway. Oh boy, brother guy. I like the way you look inquisitive right now. He's sitting on something, brother. You look at his face. He's sitting on something. All right, this time wait for the drum roll, brother guy, because I know it's going to wind. Brian H is healing it up today.
Well, I might be a heel, and I might get So here's the thing. I'm gonna give you before I say mine. I got to give the backstory. It's strange that as a wrestling fan. No, it's strange as a wrestling fan when you have an opinion about something. People take that as though you're not for quote unquote the culture. You can have an opinion about anybody, and you can have an opinion about a certain set of people, whether it be race, culture, male or female, no matter what it is, you can have an opinion, right? But it seems like as soon as you say something about a certain, it's like, oh, you don't like. No, I can have an opinion about that, and that's what my unpopular opinion is rooted in today.
Oh, so wait a minute. About the sizzle.
Yeah, I'm about to say because it's going to be a thing where when people read this, they're going to think, "Oh, he doesn't like." It. So I'm gonna just say it. My unpopular
Hold
opinion
on.
this week is
I
drum
got to
roll,
get it.
Yeah,
Hold
please.
on.
we gotta wait for the drum roll. Yeah.
Drum roll, please. Because this is, I can't. Oh boy, here we go. It's gonna be one of those shows I can feel it.
The reason that Montez Ford is not a single star is because he needs Angelo Dawkins.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Wow.
Hey, it's crazy.
Okay. There's a little bit to unpack there. I am struggling to express myself because we cannot engage
But it's the reason that Montez
in
had one
dialogue.
PLE match, and when Montez was hurt, Angelo was having matches on Raw. I'm just saying, if he wrestles by himself, he gets gas really fast. He's not. He's. You can tell he takes liberties a lot. So he needs Angelo Dawkins more than Angelo Dawkins needs Montez Ford. That's why he's
Oh, you're
not
just
a
gonna
single star.
Whoa, that's
you're gonna keep going, huh? You're gonna keep going,
That's what I'm
huh?
saying. I'm saying it's the reason that Montez is not a single star because he needs Angelo Dawkins.
Wow.
Mm.
Okay. I'm sure we're gonna have to address this at some point. Because you know how I already feel about WWE's tag division. So you're kind of like pouring
Yeah,
gasoline on the fire right now, buddy.
look, it's the reason, right? Go ahead, let him rip.
Oh boy, that's sweet. Anyway,
Now you
brother
see why
Hugh.
I had to say my pre for him because oh my god,
No,
he don't like no. I can have an
no, I
opinion.
agree with
Like
you because every time the black community, every time the black wrestling community has a star and there's like a group of people and everybody, and I'm also the kind of person that's like, look, man, my measuring stick is really high when it comes to the black superstar. It's like Booker T. You know what I mean? It's either you're on his level or better. And it's like you can't tell me if it's not on Booker T's level, then it's like, okay, cool. Like I remember we were at a convention years ago and the whole place erupted because we had a gentleman coming in and they said, yeah, this is before pre-Kofi Mania and before Big E. He goes, yeah, man, if there's an African-American superstar that can take us to the next level, it's one guy. It's Velveteen Dream. And the crowd roared and the crowd went crazy. And I looked at them like,
you sure did.
I'm not gonna say Brian Hayes was there. I'm not gonna say his name because I like the guy. He's a good dude. And I was like, I'm not gonna do this in front of all these people. We're all here for a comic book convention, and we're all, of the same people. But yes, brother guy, I hear you 1000%. I get it, but it's all right, brother Hugh.
Yes.
This has been pretty heavy. Brian H already, and then brother guy follows up. This is getting heavy. It's getting kind of heavy. What you got for me, brother Hugh? Are you ready for this week?
Release the Kraken. Go ahead.
Are you ready
to crazy? I don't think. But okay, let's get it.
Are you ready to unleash upon the world this week's unpopular opinion from Mr. Super Producer Brother Hugh has the third? Are you prepared?
Real quick, there's only one promotion that is doing it the correct way. That's my prelude. But now I'm ready.
See, here we go. I feel like we're all going to turn heel this show. It's usually Brian H and sometimes Brother Hugh. I don't know if we're going to make it through this show. Oh boy. Next week, we're going to do the entire show in black and white. It's going to be no color. Everybody just had black and white screens and I got some t-shirts for us. Just throw them on. And we're just like, look, man, all you fans throwing trash. All you fans throwing trash computer screens can stick it, brother. Exactly. And shades. But Brother Hugh.
And fanny packs without shirt tucks in.
There you go. Keep it nice and retro. Brother Hugh, so fanny packs is definitely a must with the shirts tucked in. I didn't think about that. That's cool. Brian H, we should have had fanny packs and our shirts tucked in for the NWO shoot we did. That's cool. That's good. Anyway, Brother Hugh. Come on, that's it doesn't get any more 90s than that. Brother Hugh, are you ready? This week's unpopular opinion. Here we go.
Trophies do not belong in professional wrestling.
Wow.
I said it before, but they do not belong.
Oh boy, he's been saying this, but this is the one time nobody can say anything back. Oh, you clever gentleman.
Trophies and cups or just trophies?
No,
you gotta clarify. Trophy and cups or just trophies? Or you consider them the same thing?
That's the same thing. It's a big trophy with a cup on top of it. It's a trophy.
Okay. Anyways, I'm gonna move forward. Here we go. He set This is no. All right, here we go. I am going to like my face it's hurting right now. Look at it. Like you can't see it, but like literally the muscles are twitching because I'm trying to like move. I'm
Just
trying to
drink
move
some
forward.
water.
Here we go. You know, I'm gonna take a sip as soon as I get through this because we gotta move forward. My unpopular opinion, brother Hugh. Oh, we're gonna have some words, bro.
I know.
Oh my goodness. It's like you don't want to rush through the show, but in the back of your mind, like I gotta get all these points out before I forget it because we got enough to do. But this week's unpopular opinion from the realness is I prefer the larger than life production sets under the previous regime in WWE versus what we're getting now. Yes, I understand it. There are more people in attendance, but it's something about the big sets, the larger than life. It's like when you watch wrestling, it's like, why isn't this? It doesn't feel. You understand the stadium shows because stadiums are built different, right? But then on like certain on Monday Night Raws, man, it feels like TV's missing something. It's missing this big
Indie
larger
show
than life
vibe.
feel. You know what I mean? And I'm
It
just
feels like
man,
indie show.
it's like I want something a little bit more of this, man. And I remember just there was a stretch, these big elaborate sets. I guess you call it 90. I don't know, late in 98, 99, 2000. Okay, fair enough. 2000 was when it's like we were getting these. You know, it was larger than life, and I missed that. So I think the production sets under the previous regime are clearly better than what we are getting now. Understandably so. Don't get me wrong, but I said what I said. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is this week's unpopular opinion segment from the brothers here at the Wrestling Realm. I'd say that wasn't too bad. It was bad enough. Brother Hugh, we got to have some conversations. But there you have it. Next week, we will go back to something a little bit more positive, which will be Wrestling Realm Facts, which, you know, once again, will be a question, something to learn about the host that much more better. But there you have it. That is our unpopular opinion segment for this week. We are rocking and rolling. We're moving on. So this is the time of the show where it's officially time for us to get into the conversation. And I'd be remiss if I did not acknowledge our co-hosts who help us each and every week to start the show properly. So without further ado, Mr. Apollo Creed and Rocky Balboa, do us the honor of ringing the bell in true pro wrestling fashion, even though you guys are boxers, to help us properly start this week's show. Gentlemen,
want to ring the bell? Ding, ding.
Every week we start the show the same way. Is because we have to plug the information into the system that we consumed all week in another famous segment we do known as What Did You Watch? Now, What Did You Watch is something we do to kind of open the doors. And tonight's conversation is pretty simple because we know what the heck we watch. We got a weekend full of wrestling. So as we jump into what did we watch, that's going to lead us directly into the show. And maybe we'll get out of here early, but Brian H., don't hold your breath. So without further ado, let's get into What Did You Watch? Brought to you by our good friends at SeatGeek. If you're looking to purchase tickets to concerts, live shows, sporting events, and more, head over to SeatGeek.com where you can use our promo code Wrestling Realm for any one-time purchase of $50 or more. That's promo code Wrestling Realm on any one-time purchase of $50 or more. Exactly what that guy said. He knows what he's talking about. Gentlemen, what did you watch? Well, we already know. All right, here we go. Heel time. You ready? This is. I'm taking a deep breath because this is the time we have to address the elephant in the room. Prepare yourselves for Hollywood. No, it's coming. I feel it. I feel it from your window. I'm looking at it through the screen. I feel it. We're here to answer the $1 million question. We got a weekend full of professional wrestling. We were blessed with, of course, obviously our previous week of professional wrestling, right? It's our normal weekly television that we get from every circle and every angle. But going into the weekend, we enjoyed WWE Saturday night's main event, as well as AEW's Double or Nothing and NXT Battleground. And I said, okay, all right, we got 3 strong shows. But you know what? We usually don't debate and compare because Brother Hugh put out a tweet earlier. I don't call it a post, it's a tweet. It's X, we know. And he said, you know what? Maybe we should stop comparing this stuff. And I said, hey, I got a great idea. Let's get on the show and compare it. So everybody's going to be in
Sounds about right.
He said, we got to stop this tribalism. I said, let's talk about the tribalism. So I'm going to put all of us in bad situations because we're going to do a great analysis and we're going to break down who had the better weekend. Now, WWE had a strong affiliate show. Like I said, we have Saturday Night's Main Event, which is classic and fun. But we also had NXT Battleground, officially acknowledged as a third brand. But we also had AEW's Double or Nothing. Now, this is AEW's warehouse. If there's one thing that AEW does very well, it may not always be the best weekly TV, but they always know how to put on solid pay-per-views and really, really fun shows. To me, it's been their lifeblood, their bread and butter that's kept them alive since the very beginning. And guess what? We're not going to shy away from the conversation. We're going to dive right into it. So, you hear that? You hear that? Right into singing. He's going to flip. I'm not buying it. He's going to say something controversial and it's going to go viral on social media like it always does. And it's good for us because we get views that way. But that's not the point. We are here to talk about who had the better weekend. Now, Brother Hugh, this show is all about you. Even though we're celebrating Brother Guy coming back from his humanitarian efforts of feeding orphan chickens off the coast of Nicaragua and his missions trip, I said there's got to be
orphan chickens.
No, somebody has to care about the orphan chickens, and I'm glad that you and your group have gone out of your way to extend efforts to relieve them of not having bird feed. So welcome back. I applaud you. We have to talk about it. Was this the weekend that AEW finally took down WWE as far as, hey, who had the better weekend? Brother Hugh, you brought this conversation to the forefront. So I hope you're ready to dance. You said something in the group chat, and I said, oh, really? I am curious to hear what you have to say. And now is that time. Brother Hugh, talk to the people. Yes. How did you feel about this weekend of wrestling overall? And you start us off with where you stand at who had the strongest show, who had the not so strongest show, and who probably came in last. Now, that does not mean the shows were bad. The good news is all the shows were really, really good for different reasons. But it was like, wait a minute, which one, for the sake of competition, because we grew up in competition, you talking to the generation of kids that flip back and forth. You guys don't know what that's about. You know what I mean? So we came up in healthy competition, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. So, Brother Hugh, start us off. Tell us about how you enjoyed this weekend of wrestling, where you felt pulled to, what you feel had the strongest showing, what you liked personally. You know, sometimes we forget to talk about what we actually liked. And like Brother Guy said, it's not a sin to say what we liked over other things. You know, so where do we stand? This show was really you. This is all your fault. This is the bread and butter of your idea. This is a comment you made, and I said, this is going to turn into something special. So, Brother Hugh, talk to the people. Where we at?
Pressure's on, buddy.
I started off by checking out, was it Under Siege? TNA?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
It was okay. It was okay. It didn't really tickle my fancy too much. Like I said, it's wrestling. I watched it. Okay, it's cool. It's a nice show. Moving on to Saturday night, main event. Great production, great show. You had a couple of good key moments in there. I was satisfied with it.
Mm-hmm.
But then Sunday night, we have a dilemma. We have a conflict because we have two shows running at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to watch AEW live, and I can go back and watch NXT Battleground later on. I watched that bad boy. Every single match hit. And I think for me, it hit because, and I'm kind of snitching on myself, I haven't, for like the last 2 weeks, I think I really missed what was going on in AEW. So I was actually able to watch that show and actually be a fan and not know what's going on. You see what I'm saying? As opposed to WWE.
Oh, there we go. WWE, high grease, baby.
WWE is always in your face, social media, whatever. The big moments, what's going on, and it's like, all right, that leads to what? You looking at a show, trying to predict what's going to happen. Oh, that shouldn't have been right. You're always criticizing something that's going on in WWE, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's always thrown in our face.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I made the statement that AEW had the best show of the weekend, which they did.
There it is, everybody.
And they did. It was action packed. Like I said, I was able to enjoy it more. It was just pure entertainment, straight through and through. Every match. Sasha Banks showed up again. You know, I was with it. The only thing I didn't like about the AEW show was like the point of the trophies. Like, what's the point of the trophy? Why was it there?
Yeah,
I don't.
Yeah, we heard you. We heard your unpopular opinion. Yeah, we heard it.
You have a trophy and a belt. Like, I don't. You just pick one and go with it.
You guys did an entire show. I'm sorry. You guys did an entire show. We had a conversation about how do we feel about belts being trophies. But I'm not. Go ahead. This is you're cooking. Go ahead.
But yeah, I watched that and then I went back to watch Battleground. I'm not gonna lie, I had a hard time watching Battleground, like actually paying attention to it.
What is going on today?
It wasn't a bad show,
right?
But watching it after AEW, I was like,
oh, okay.
Maybe I didn't take enough time to really settle down and relax myself and really focus the way I need to focus on Battleground.
Mm-hmm.
But after AEW, I was just like, I'm not really interested.
Yeah.
You know, so I was just like, all right, let me go back and try to do it again. Because I started watching it, and then I was just like, nah, I'm good. And I came back to it, and I saw what happened.
Mm-hmm.
The only real big moment was Trick. And I'm like, okay, all right, cool. That's good for them. That's a good move, good moment. But overall, you said what?
What'd you say?
I said Trick winning the title. That was the only major moment of that whole paper PLE.
Mm-hmm.
But AEW do not miss with pay-per-views. If they can put on a show like that every daggone time they're on TV, hey, bro, we talking something different now. You know what I'm saying?
Oh boy, I have to put you on the hot seat. This might be a too hot for TV moment, and I can't help myself. Yes, man. I do apologize for the extended intro. We haven't had too hot for TV moments in a long time, but I think this is where I got to slow things down. Is because you dropped some serious, like superior pro wrestling intellect, like in true wrestling realm fashion gems that I need people to grasp. I'm ready to throw you this oop, and you're going to catch it and dunk it twice backwards like LeBron. You said something that's very crucial to us as wrestling fans, right?
First of all, I'm an MJ and Kobe fan.
My bad. I apologize.
You a Kobe fan?
Yeah, I'm a Kobe fan now.
Yeah. No, that's fair. We all are. So yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, nobody really threw the moves, but it's cool. It's all right. You said something that's crucial. You said you were able to watch AEW without having to have known what had happened previously or what has been going on to lead to whatever it was you were watching, whatever moment you jumped into, whatever match it was that was going on. Mm-hmm. That's how we used to consume wrestling back in the day. And I'm talking about before we were born, right? Like anybody could turn on wrestling on a Saturday morning, on a Sunday evening, or Thursday night, or go down to a show back when arenas were called like civic centers and stuff like that. And you would go watch wrestling. And what they gave you, what you watch, is what made you a fan. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You didn't need dramatic stories. You didn't need a backstory. You didn't need a dissertation about why we got here in the first place. You said, I looked at what I saw, I enjoyed what I saw, and it kept me there for the entire show. That's a big deal. And that's really, really hard to do in today's day and age. We're talking 2025, like you said, with the way that we're exposed to professional wrestling at literally at our fingertips, right? At the swipe of a thumb or our fingers, it's there, right? You know, all the updates, social media, so on and so forth. So that's a big deal. That's where you know when your wrestling is being your wrestling. That's one. Two, I have to ask you, you said something along the lines of, it was hard to watch NXT Battleground after watching AEW, because AEW is putting on pay-per-views is just what they do, right? Mm-hmm. That's the meat and potatoes of of at least us who are watching. Live shows is another one. They do great live shows. Like if you go watch AEW live, you'll enjoy the show for what it is, right? So I ask you, could you have done that in reverse and watched NXT Battleground first and then watched AEW? Do you think that would have had an effect on how you viewed those shows when you talk about a comparison together? Or do you like, nope, either way, I'm almost sure that I would have stayed completely flat with what I said, where either way, this show was always going to outshadow the other?
I think at the end of the day, AEW would have outshadowed them. But if I did switch the order that I watched the shows, I would have already been in that WWE mindset.
Okay.
So I would have enjoyed it the first time better than what I did when I tried to watch it after AEW the first time. You see what I'm saying? Because it's all the same type of storylines, production, very heavy on the storytelling. That's just what WWE is. And I made that comment earlier on that. I tweeted it out earlier. I was just like, look, we got to stop comparing AEW and WWE specifically.
That was a tweet.
Because they're two. It's wrestling, but it's two wrestling products. One is purely sports entertainment. It's a TV show, 100% TV production show.
Right.
The other one is more of an event.
Yeah.
This is what we're used to, because we used to go down to what is it called? I can't remember. Do Burns Arena. Yep. And watch ROH.
Yeah.
That's the type of shows we got. Just pure action. And the stories told themselves through the action.
There you go.
And I'm with it. 100%.
Sometimes. Okay.
Absolutely. AEW doesn't need to tell a lot. They don't need to tell a lot. They don't need to tell a lot, but they need to tell it just enough to get you to the pay-per-view. If they could find that perfect balance of telling the story to the point where you get it and don't go overboard with it,
right?
They're good, 100%. All they got to do is stay in that lane and try not to compete with WWE. Because it's two different entities. That's the same thing TNA has been doing for years. That's why they're still around. They stayed in their lane. They found their niche and they stayed in their lane. So that's what I had on the weekend of wrestling. So
all right, there we go. Starting off hot. Thank you, brother Hugh. It's funny as we get back, transition back to the conversation. It's funny you say what you said, brother Hugh, because brother Guy and I had a conversation on the phone where he had said the same thing. He literally was like, he's like, man, he's like, I stopped looking at AEW through one lens. It's because for so long, like you said, we only had one lens. It was always the WWE way, and then you had TNA, but TNA was trying to do WWE light, and it was like they started off in their own lane, and they're like, oh, cool, that's different. I like this type of wrestling too. Is because we grew up with first of all, we grew up with different styles of wrestling. Of course, the WWF was one thing, and then you had WCW, was different at one point. And then you had like ECW, and then we had our local independents and stuff like that we saw in magazines and whatever. So it was like we were used to that time consuming different types of wrestling, so we were okay with whatever they gave us. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I didn't care what I was watching as long as it was
AWA or ESPN in syndication.
Bingo. They used to show the reruns for that, like on ESPN Classic and stuff like that. And I used to watch all of that stuff. I used to watch the Golden Age of Wrestling, like Brian said, on on Saturday mornings. First, I watched this when
it was a women's wrestling show.
It was we used to watch the women's wrestling show. We used to watch Wild. We used to watch all that stuff because it didn't matter. But we were used to consuming different types of professional wrestling. That was the norm. But we've gotten so caught up in the WWE for so many years. It's like unintentionally, we always look at everything else now with that lens. And I thank God that we had that Sinclair broadcast era of Ring of Honor, because I feel like, to me, and y'all can speak for yourselves, it kind of snapped me out of it. You know what I mean? Especially during the time when we were like, all right, I guess we just got to accept what they give us and just we'll be disgruntled, but we just,
it was like, too, it was a whole decade though. You think before, when we was younger, like obviously we just wanted whatever wrestling. If we saw a ring and we saw ropes, a mat, and people, we was watching, bro. Right?
Yeah.
What happened was we got the company got bought, and then sure they would try with Wrestling Society X and stuff, but nothing would really stick around.
Which I liked, by the way. It didn't last.
But we had a whole decade of being programmed at WWE in the mainstream, as far as if you're not a niche wrestling fan, right? You had to find the people to talk about TNA with or the independents with. But now, as much as you know, there's a whole lot of stuff I don't like about AEW. What I will give them credit is you can walk in the store, you can see people with an AEW shirt on, and they not be a everyday diehard fan. You can see the toys in the store, you can see the merchandise, you can see people walking around. Yeah, you'll look at it, okay, that's a different type of wrestling fan, you know, but you can find somebody who's actually an AEW fan, and that's it. If 9 times out of 10, if you saw somebody as a TNA fan, they were also following the indies so they could see and touch their TNA superstars.
Yeah. Brother guy, talk about a little bit, because we got everybody's firing on all cylinders. So it's like I'm in my wrestling realm mode. But you and I had
real quick. I just gotta say this. D Smooth 210 just said all it takes was so hot. All the unpopular opinions were so hot. And you know, as we get ready to get the brother guy, because he had probably the hottest take. It says he'll have an answer tomorrow, because they're extremely up here. He's like, he respect all our thoughts, but he can't even address it now.
We've done our job, brothers.
He need a break. He said, I need a break. I gotta think this. I gotta sleep on this one.
We have success. Thank you. Make everybody feel what I feel. Welcome to our world. That's exactly the goal of all this. But brother guy, also speak to what brother Hugh said. I know my piece and Brian said is, and I know you have yours, because like I said, it's crazy listening to him say that. I'm like, brother Hugh, we was literally just talking about that. But talk about the same thing you were talking about as far as your perspective about how you had to approach watching AEW and how our attitudes kind of not necessarily had to change, but we just had to kind of snap out of a certain fog for whatever reason. But like Brian said, it's because we spent so long looking at things one way, but accepting what we see and enjoying it for what it is, instead of saying, okay, well, they don't do this, or they don't do that. But it's like, well, let's look at what they do. No, I don't mean to say do, like do, but you know.
And see, and the thing that I had to realize, and this is what I was talking to Realness about, and I mentioned it to Brother Hugh. When I watch WWE, I feel like I'm watching The Young and the Restless. I feel like I'm watching Breaking Bad. It's a continuation of stories, right? And you know the characters. You know, I might see Victor this week, but it might be a week or two before I see him again. You know these characters. AEW is not a episodic TV show. It is literally 24 CSI. What's the other one?
Law and Order.
Law and Order. Law and Order. It's one of those type of shows. You're going to turn it on. You're going to watch it. You know what you're getting, the basis of it, but you're going to enjoy it because it's all about in that episode, that 54 minutes, whatever it's going to be, that I'm sitting there watching. Of course, for commercial breaks, I'm going to enjoy that moment. So when you start to think about it that way, it makes more sense, because we're going to watch WWE and it's going to be in everybody's face. It's going to be spinoffs. We're going to get the Younger Wrestlers and Bold and the Beautiful. You're going to get all of these things that kind of tie in, and NXT, WWE, SmackDown, Raw, all those type of things, right? But when you watch an episode of Law and Order, you don't have to go back and watch the other 37 seasons. Facts. You can enjoy each episode every time, because people that cut that on and just watch it, just enjoy it. So when I saw Hugh's comment, I actually did it in reverse. I watched NXT first, and then I watched AEW, and I was sad I watched NXT first. I was like,
wow, so you felt the same way.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I said, oh, no, I kind of wasted my time. I should have watched that live. You know what I mean? Because I feel like I kept seeing certain things, and I was like, all right, I got to hurry up and watch AEW because it's good reviews, and I know what I'm going to get with AEW. I know that it was going to be banger after banger after banger after banger, but I was so happy that watching it live, I got to see the things that I know I'm going to enjoy. Like, I do not enjoy hardcore wrestling because I don't believe in blood and cringy and chair shots, but I enjoy last year's Anarchy in a Ring match and this year's Anarchy in a Ring match. Pure fun, pure entertainment, pure joy from start to finish. I enjoyed every spot that they did. I didn't feel like it was overly done. Perfect. We got to see Sasha Banks versus Jamie Hayter, which put on a better match than the women in the NXT, which is crazy because it had not because it was for a cup, sorry, Brother Hugh, but because it felt like she's back to being the Sasha Banks that we fell in love with. And it felt like everything took me on an emotional roller coaster ride. Like, ooh, where's the NXT? I was like, okay, come on and get this match. I'm trying to get to this next one. I didn't want the matches to end. So when I watched the reverse, I kind of felt like I cheated AEW by not watching it live. And I kind of felt like, all right, why are they putting this match on last? But then I had to think about it. He's building a story in the background for people to continue to watch. We've all hate John Moxley right now, but he's been telling us Hangman is going to be his guy. Let's build this up because I got to get to our stadium show All Out, right? Yeah, it's All Out, right?
Mm-hmm.
All in.
They're
All in.
all in.
All
Thank
in.
you. Their
Hokey
version
pokey.
of WrestleMania, but I'm
Down for the
like, it's
butts in the seats.
yeah, I'm like, okay. And I'm okay with that being the final match. 'Cause I thought the Anarchy in the Ring was going to be the final match. You got 90% of your
Sure.
top stars in it. And I love the fact that they added Willow in there. So I was like, this is great. I kept saying, like, okay, she's going to get something bad done to her. But overall, when you watch AEW as a just in that moment and just enjoy it, it's enjoyable. Now, is it going to be a
Yeah.
follow up? Absolutely not. But I understand it because if I want to go watch good wrestling for 2 days straight, because the pay-per-view does last for 2 days, I'm going to go to I'm going
Damn
to go to
right.
AEW. If I'm going to watch a good story and know that I'm going to be vested in Soul Ruka doing Soul Snatcher off of different things every time, I'm going to go to Tuesdays and I'm going to go to NXT.
There
You
you
get what
go.
I'm saying? But if I want to see just good wrestling, I want to be entertained for that moment to get me to the next episode. You can put AEW on at any time and be okay in any
Yep.
sequence.
Yeah.
WWE can, because you were like, wait a minute, weren't these two just fighting in the last episode that you showed me from 6 months ago? Now they're best friends. Hold on, now they're oppositions. You got to follow the lineage of it. You got to follow the timeline of WWE. AEW, you really don't have to.
True.
I mean, I'm not saying that WWE doesn't have good matches. They do put on good matches,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's just that, like you said, the storyline is sometimes the storytelling is too much. What blows me is like when you get into the ring, like for instance, you have the stare downs. Both of them face to face. They're standing there for like 5 to 10 minutes. Just soak it all in. Yeah, I get it. You're soaking it. You're soaking in the crowd. You're bringing them in. You know what I mean? You're getting the tension going. You're getting
Getting the
the intensity
psychology
popping.
going, brother.
Right. You're getting everything going. But I'm like, sometimes I guess just it's like, yo, all right, just fight, bro. Like, come on now.
They do it different.
Like,
They do different stories at AEW. Like, remember he said, "I'm hunting buck season," and he came out the Predator. I said, "This is perfect. This keeps the story that he said it's buck hunting season." I was like, and the red lasers. Everybody know about the Predator. And it was like that's a perfect. He had to get there.
Look, there you
Swerve.
go. No,
Yeah,
don't listen to
gotta
Brian
pick
H.
up on
He's doing it again.
I swear I don't know.
yeah.
But he said it. He said it's buck hunting season. So I was like, that made sense. It was
Yeah.
the whole, and I didn't know that I liked music playing while they're wrestling, but they did it the second year straight. It made sense, and I was vested the whole time. I know people say it played too long, but it's bodies. What wrestling fan doesn't relate to bodies
Yeah, come on.
by
Come on.
Geronimo?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
WWE made that famous in 2001.
Yeah,
Talk
they did.
about it.
And guess what? No matter when they play it, we still gonna be like, one, nothing wrong with me. Everybody gonna be rocking to it.
Yeah, I don't
I
care
think
who
I
you
would've-
are.
I'm just saying.
Go ahead, my bad. Go my bad. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me say this.
Uh-oh. Take a sip of
He's
it.
taking a big sip.
To the gulp.
I respect everything y'all said.
Go ahead,
I
come
mean,
on.
y'all not saying nothing wrong.
But
And everything reflects on the way everybody likes to watch wrestling. And I respect that. I'm all about the stories. If I was to turn my camera around,
says the guy that wears WrestleMania 9 t-shirt. I got to hear this one, fellas. Hold on. Let me get myself
hey,
comfortable. Go ahead,
let's let
Brian
that
H.
shine a little brighter.
Oh, God, no.
A nice little WrestleMania,
Help us,
little
Lord.
WrestleMania gift. Shout out to Queen PR for this one.
Ooh.
If I turn this, you see all the DVDs, right? Whatever's the network. If I want to see good matches, I could throw in one of those. It ain't too much. Now, there's still some stuff out there I haven't seen.
Okay.
But I'm all about the story, boss. I need a good story.
I'm not trying to hear this. I that's
the reason why I popped Sunday night when it was time to whoop that Trick. And then following it up on Tuesday when Trick Willie reminded everybody y'all was cheering for old Average Joe.
Oh, that's not nice either. Like I did
It was the truth.
It's not
you
Average
know,
Joe.
and then even You know, because I watched AEW. You know, they have a saying in NBA and WNBA circles called a league pass team. And for those who don't know, if you got the league pass, you can turn on at any given time. You can watch any game, right? And there are certain teams who play good ball or entertaining ball, but you may not, you know, they're not going to like go far. You're not going to win, right? But they're a league pass team. You know, the Phoenix Suns would have been considered that. They got some stars or whatever. That's the way I see AEW. They're like a league pass for wrestler. You want to see good matches, good, and I respect that. But for me and in my wrestling fandom, I need the stories. You know, it's the reason why, like, I just turned on Evolve, right?
Yep.
Women killed it. Now, the story is everybody's going for the championship. Would I have watched this match if it wasn't a title match? Probably not, to be honest with you. No, I probably would have, because predicting my brother Hugh, he would have said this was the match he was watching because he's been on Kaylee Armstrong since day one. So I would have had to go back and watch it.
Yep.
That's the thing, right? So I'm not saying neither of them. I'm not definitely not saying brother Hugh and brother Guy is wrong by any means. Because like I said, I respect how they consume wrestling. But for the people out there, you know, I like my Young and the Restless because once I was
waiting for it.
Yeah. I stayed hooked. Just like right now. So first of all, I got to say, shout out to Collie for taking the belt from Natty. That's how you do it. Great heel tactic. But like right now, I'm all in this Beyond the Gates, and I've been watching it since day one. And every day, I can't wait to see what happens next. And that's how I've been feeling watching Trick Williams chase this TNA championship, which I said last week that he was going to win.
Yeah, you did. You call him.
You know, so that's the beauty of pro wrestling. You know what I mean? Because even now, when I go back and watch something old, I find myself going down that rabbit hole, right? Case in point, last week, check out on YouTube, I did the top, I recapped the very first In Your House 30 years ago, 1995. But it didn't stop there because I had to follow up Shawn Michaels coming back from injury after being taken out by Psycho Sid and his journey to the WWF Championship. The good homie, my good friend Shawn Michaels. So that's the best part, but that's the beauty about, and you can say you're a WWE show, you just love WWE. Guess what? It's something for everybody. That's the best part about what wrestling in 2025 is. Because it's so much wrestling out there and it's so much for everybody. So for all you sweat hogs out there, do not shame people.
It's like Rick Rude.
Exactly. For the type of wrestling they like. Do not shame people and say you're not a real fan if you don't watch XYZ.
That's just dumb. Yeah.
It's just stupid. You can never measure somebody's fandom.
Absolutely.
Amen. Hallelujah.
He preached the word out there, y'all. You gotta pass the collection plate.
And what kills me is when they say, "Oh my God, you're bashing them." Like, you can have an opinion. Like, everybody consumes, like Hollywood just said, everybody consumes it differently. And I'm all for a story, but I'm all for action. I just hate when stories last too long. Like, I'm not saying everything got to be an instant gratification, but some stuff I'm like, why are we still doing this? You know what I mean? And it's like, that's what I think when I say wrestling overload or something, and people, because I get tired of all the extra stuff that people are saying about, oh no, you just hate AEW, you just like WWE. No, I just like wrestling, but I know when to turn the channel. I know when to cut the TV off and say, nope, that's enough. Oh, I had enough of that. You know,
I'll tell you one thing I did over the weekend. This little thing right here, I stayed off of it. That's why I was able to enjoy the show. Because I didn't have to hear the discourse of what people were complaining about.
Now, what show were you referring to that you said you got to enjoy without hearing the discourse?
Well, honestly, the only one I watched live, sat down and watched live was NXT. Saturday night's main event, you know, was hanging out. Me and my daughter did watch some of the match. Yeah, we were sitting there at Artscape. She was eating her icy, and we was eating our chicken, and we, you know, threw it on the phone, convenience of YouTube TV.
See that?
But yeah, I watched a little bit of that, you know. But it was I watched the Battleground live, but I was like, it was just I needed a digital detox. And sometimes it's the best way to enjoy wrestling is when you're not following what other people are saying about it.
No, I think that's absolutely true. So it's so what I'm hearing is from what I'm hearing from the brothers, and because we're going to be fair, there's a general consensus that, like you said, there's no measurables to what makes you a wrestling fan, what you like, what you don't like. And this is what Brother Hugh was referring to when he said this is the tribalism, right? Like and like Brother Guy says, like what you like, but just because I don't like something you like or something, it doesn't mean I'm not a part of this one standard, or you're not a part. Okay, you're only a wrestling fan if you like this. It's like, and then it's like we end up fighting and beefing. Now I think where the issue usually comes along in is where people try to hold you to their own measurements of what you should and shouldn't like, right? And then they start to attack each other, like, oh, you like this, you like that, that's dumb. It's like, oh, come on, cut it out.
Like Hugh always attack when I say Jada Parker, who got a dope shirt, by the way, will be a future world champion.
Or when Brian H likes, he can't stand the Young Bucks, but I love spot monkey matches. He hates them. He's like, they just got flipping, there's nothing to it. But it's like he said,
the real Dwayne Allen said Drew McIntyre would never amount to nothing.
Facts. Exactly. Exactly. That was Brian H getting his hit back from what I said about John Morrison and being right about that. So when Drew made his triumphant return, and I was like, all right, Brian H, you got this one. He won that one.
Yeah, because every time I see John Morrison, I look at him in disgust.
Yeah, because I never let you live that down. So it's his fault.
Especially
that's the guy you should be mad
at. There, sitting at him, looking at him behind the gorilla, watching Melina's match.
I'm
like, you idiot. And then you just sitting there going, look at your boy. Look at your boy. I'm like, that's what made it even worse. The fact you was right there doing that. And I had to get taunted while he's standing in the stupid ponytail.
But, and that was when we were sitting at seats where we could see behind the curtain. Sitting behind the curtain, see people watching the match. Look at him, and this is around that time doing all the drama. But we're not here to get into that. We're not a gossip group. But yes, so when you hear about, hey, it's okay to like what you like. Everybody likes to like who I missed his name. Who did we sit next to when we went to AEW Live? Brian H. He looks like he reminds me of Charlie Speed. Yeah, Walker. He reminds me of Charlie Speed 15 years ago. That's like Charlie Speed. Right. and he loves Jericho. He loves AEW. And he's like, look, I really haven't watched WWE since AEW has come along, because one, Jericho's my favorite wrestler, and what they have given me for what I want at this stage of my life as a wrestling fan, I've been okay with it. Like, it's not like he wasn't like anti WWE and he wasn't protesting. He just said, look, I just like what they've been giving me. It's been enough for me. So I had no issues with it. So at any chance he had got to kind of be a part of AEW, coming out to live shows in the area or watching it, he was good with it. And he never once came off as like, I like this, you should like it too. And if you don't, there's something wrong. Now, for the sake of competition, we have to get down to the meat and potatoes of the argument. It's because the question posed for tonight's show is, did AEW have a better weekend than WWE? Now you say, okay, Realness, you just made all these comments about wrestling fans consuming wrestling in all these different ways and why it doesn't change or set a standard for what a professional wrestling fan is. You heard at least 4 individuals give their opinions about what they like, what they didn't like per the weekend. Now, the $1 million question comes from, what do you have a group of people that actually like both? And they like both for different reasons. But in one weekend, one show had to have stood out more than the others, because it's like you're competing against what WWE does well versus what AEW does well. But who did what they did well better? So, brothers, I'm putting you on a high spot. Did AEW do a better job of AEWing better than WWE doing what WWE does for this particular weekend? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I watched AEW Double or Nothing, and I was like, God dang it, this is what they do. They give you a fun show. That's the part of wrestling that we're missing in WWE's catalog is because WWE's attitude is, well, we've done this already. We have to evolve, which understandably so. AEW's like, well, we just got here. Let's ride the wave, right?
Mm-hmm.
The way AEW does things, stuff WWE did 20, 30 years ago, because that was the time to do it, when wrestling was still not necessarily a television product, but it was a live event product that eventually turned into a television product. But going to a show, live show, giving us moments, not necessarily having to connect the dots the next day or the following week, was something we kind of all grew up on. It eventually evolved into something much more dramatic. Henceforth, all the younger wrestlers references. But did AEW finally catch up and capture the weekend? Was AEW better at being AEW? Or do you still feel like WWE, did what WWE does best in comparison to their alleged, not really competitive, but their alternative in AEW? Come on, man. Somebody's got to have a take on this.
That's a loaded question.
It is a loaded question. I advertised. I told everybody we wanted to smoke. Everybody's on a goddamn hot seat. I told it they're looking for the spice.
I'll answer.
They waiting for us to deliver. Go ahead, brother guy. They waiting for us to deliver. Like, I sat there and watched this show because I knew somebody was going to say something controversial, and I want somebody to have the bronze and be like, "Oh, this is what it is." So they're waiting for us to get to it, brother guy.
The grapefruits.
AEW. I'm gonna say this, and this will answer you. AEW delivered better than WWE.
Talk to us. Why do you think you do that?
AEW, we know, and we could joke about 2-day pay-per-views because it starts one day and ends another day, right? But we've grown to accept that, and we've accepted that because it's not a lot of fluff there. It's more meat and potatoes. And when I say AEW delivered, they had 2 Owen Hart Cup matches, a grudge match, some filler matches that really didn't feel like fillers because they were necessary to, have there. And whereas though the only thing we were focusing on 1 or 2 things in WWE, but I feel like I could focus on the whole pay-per-view for AEW. So that's why I said AEW did more and they won the weekend because I was able to focus on AEW and not just is R-Truth going to beat John Cena. It's not for a title. Really don't care. All right, the YouTuber going to win? I don't know. Okay, is Trick going to win? That was really like the 3 talking points. But with AEW, you left with more of a wow factor. Not like a predictability, but a more of a wow. And AEW did AEW better this weekend than what WWE normally would do. And to be honest with you, this is something that I hope Triple H learned from it. Sometimes going head to head don't really match up because this NXT show could have been this Sunday coming up and probably would have had a bigger impact.
Yeah.
All pun intended.
Standalone. Well,
all pun intended. Yeah. So I will say AEW definitely did their thing. And you got to remember, their main event wasn't a world championship match. It was for a cup. It was basically a number 1 contender match, if you think about it.
It was for a belt.
Forget a cup. It's double whammy. You got that. Brian H called him Hangman Oralist, and it was for a cup that Brother Hugh can't stand.
Yeah, and I say it's number 1 contendership because that's really what it is. Oh, you won a tournament to be the number 1 contender.
Bingo.
And that's what felt like, because that main event, that felt like that was more than the main events of either night of the WWE's pay-per-views.
Mm-hmm.
Because they made it feel that way. They really took a gamble and made it feel that way. But that was just there to check off the box.
So Brother Guy has gone on the record to make it very clear that he believes AEW did a better job of what AEW does this weekend than WWE at what WWE does this weekend. All right. So 1 point for AEW, straight from the guy. All right. Brian H. You want to tackle this? You want to wait? All right, let's just jump right into it. So, same question. How do you feel? Did AEW win the weekend? Was AEW better at being AEW's weekend than WWE was better at being WWE this past week?
They was, but not for the reasons that you may think I'm going to say.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
They stayed the course and went with their unoilers, soon-to-be champion.
I'm not a fan of Hangman Page either.
The WWE way, if AEW would have went in a different direction, they would have went to the hot hand and said, you know what? It's time to go Ospreay.
He's the MVP in AEW. He's literally the face of the franchise at this
really
point.
He's the face of the franchise. He's the guy you should put your money in. You know, you listen to all his promos. He's the guy who, yes, you should be investing in. But they went, I don't want to say the safe route, but they went with like, okay, we got to stick to this. This is our story. This is the way we're going. And they went with Adam Page. And
stupid
it's
pants
like,
and
okay,
mustache.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that's the AEW thing to do. Kick it off with Mercedes. Mercedes, the CEO. Hey, Google, stop.
God dang it, he said, stop, Google.
But yeah, they decided to say, you know what? We're going to kick it off with Mercedes, the CEO, probably one of the highest paid people in there. And what did she do? She racked up another championship. They also continued that we haven't seen that AEW World title since November.
Did we get a new belt?
No,
Just asking. Been 5 years.
Yeah, so AEW continued to AEW. You know, WWE, if it would have been the way they could have more WWE-fied the weekend, would have been to really give us, you know, for NXT, give us a lot of can't miss matches. You know, they had some decent matches, but you know, with the partnership, you know, kind of kept a lot of people. We in that transition period. They decided, you know what, we're gonna go win Tuesday, and they shocked the world. You know, but you know, Saturday night's main event. I love having Jesse Ventura there, but let's be honest, Saturday's night main event ain't the same thing. And this weekend proved it. I feel like it would have had a bigger, like, you know, Jesse Ventura complain about the cage, which I agree was the most talked about thing on that show. You know, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't watch the main event, right? You know, I didn't realize till Monday that Cody had came back.
Okay, why is it that you didn't realize that Cody had come back doing like that? Was, I don't want to say it was the highlight of the match, but you know, it's kind of like
it just didn't, to me. It wasn't like usually that type of stuff is thrown all in your face, and I was kind of off of social, but you know, even you know a quick look, I still didn't see no like that. I just kept seeing Jesse Ventura complaining about the cage. So in that case, yeah, I think AEW did the most AEW things they do, and that's also the reason why I think they will be just a step below. Yeah, just a step below. Now put that title on Ospreay, and who knows?
I don't know, man. He's it, man. I'm to your point, and the reason I got you still here on the screen, Brian, is because I have a question to ask you real quick. But you mentioned Ospreay. Ospreay is him. Like, I'm sorry. Like I didn't think Adam Page can keep up with Ospreay in the ring. I'd rather Tanahashi be in that championship match than anybody. Like they would have, and that's just me personally. Shout out to Tanahashi. He made Hiroshi Tanahashi made an appearance. On his farewell tour, we always talking about freaking John Cena, but we don't talk about Hiroshi Tanahashi's farewell tour. Anyway, but I have a question. Just one last question about that, because we don't always give AEW such kudos for such a job well done. Did you enjoy the founding fathers, as in the Young Bucks, come out dressed like George Washington and John Quincy Adams for that match? I just want to know how you felt about it personally.
I don't like George Washington or John Quincy Adams.
Oh, okay. I mean,
I did my reading on presidents.
Oh, okay. I was just asking because they were dressed like founding fathers of the country. So
I love the little subtle nuances. They think they slick. You know.
Oh boy, brother Hugh, you guys are on fire tonight. And look at the time. We're almost out of here. See, brother Hugh, you have made it very clear that you thought that AEW had a good night, right? You said this they had a better job this weekend. You sparked this whole conversation, brother guy. You have said this is where it's at. This AEW they did what they do better this week than what WWE does. Brian H., you have gone on the record and said, you know what? This is AEW kind of got this one. I had two different shows that were good pieces of shows, but in comparison to this show this weekend, I'm like, all right, well, I think this one caught my attention. Now, what does the realness think? Trust me, I'm not that different from everybody else. But I must say,
I'm not like other guys.
I'm not like most girls. Go ahead, Hugh. Hit your song.
Go ahead, bro. I had fun watching Saturday Night's Main Event as usual, right? And I did not watch. I had to go back. Same thing. I went back and I watched AEW live, and I watched this because Brother Hugh kept talking about it. Like, you can never, when we're in a group text, you don't never know where we're at. We're all in different places, but that's the beauty of the group chat. It's because, you feel me? You can have a random wrestling conversation at any point, any time of the day when something's on. And Brother Hugh just kept on hitting on AEW, and I was like, oh yeah, because I had it on. That I said, let me. I literally stopped what I was doing. I said, let me go turn to AEW, and then I watched it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is fun. And same thing. When you watch an AEW pay-per-view, it reminds you of why you liked AEW the first place. At least for me, it reminds me of, like, this is what I like. I like this part of professional wrestling as well. I felt the same way in the early years of TNA, like when, like, I call it the post Attitude Era. I mean, we're talking like 3-4 now. We're not talking like 01. We're talking 3-4. And I'm like, all right, it's 2003, 2004. I wasn't the biggest fan of wrestling during that time period either. Like what WWE was giving me, I was like, I was slowly getting back into it. I was trying to find reasons not to get into it because I didn't like change. But I was like, yo, everybody who I liked from WCW, ECW, and WWE that might have got cut, they were all in TNA. So like I turn on a show, I see Road Dogg Jesse James. I see Billy Gunn come out with no name because they can't really say what his name is. He's just got Kiss Prince that says no name needed or whatever. It was the 9 Inch Nails logo thing. It said, talk about he was teasing the fact that it was there. And then X-Pac comes out giving X Factor. And then you see the Outsiders as gray haired as Kevin Nash was, and I didn't like that at all. And then you have Jeff Jarrett, and then, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden you see Sabu, and of course you got the classic. You hear Mike Tenay's voice, which is a familiar voice. You know what I mean, from WCW. And then you have the classic God Rest His Soul Oversell from Don West. Like we just saw every last member of DX. Like I watched that episode and I was like, what is going on right now? And I had it took me back to that place where I remember watching more than one type of wrestling, which is why I didn't adjust to the invasion and all that stuff. Like 2002, 3, 4 of WWE, because I was like, I was so used to consuming more than one type of professional wrestling, and then all of a sudden it was gone. So then when TNA popped up in the early years, I was looking around like, wait a minute, this is a little different. That's kind of how I felt about AEW, and that's the feeling that I get when I watch their pay-per-views and these opportunities come back. And of course, the Young Bucks dressed as George Washington and John Quincy Adams. So I too must say that AEW won the weekend.
Captain America, Kenny Omega's Captain America.
Yeah, you kidding me? Like Kenny Omega comes out, Captain America. You got exploding tables. I'm like, I like this stuff too. That was fun.
He was spinning them around somebody's. He was spinning, swerve around. He did the Cesaro swing, and then he hit him in the speakers, and that's what stopped the music. I was like, oh, that was cute.
Man, I wish Kenny Omega wanted to be the face of AEW. He never did from the beginning. His first run with the championship was the tag titles with Hangman Page. I wanted AEW to be built around Kenny Omega, which I thought that it should. But stupid.
My bad.
They can do Willow. I mean, for her to sign the contract she had, everybody's like, she's going back to AEW, right? To have a place in a match like this, it's just like, it shows you that there's no rules in certain spaces. And sometimes we grew up on that. We saw that in ECW. We saw that in WCW when they were trying to take WWE down. We even saw WWE go in that direction after a while. And they was like, look, wait, throw China in the ring. Why not? Put in a Royal Rumble. You know what I mean?
You remember the time I called you when Kurt Angle decided to re-up on his contract with TNA?
Yes,
and
you were devastated.
That's how I felt when I learned that Willow had re-signed.
You never expressed why, though. This is the perfect time to address this. What was the reason why you felt the way you felt?
Because I think Willow Nightingale, and I've been saying this for years, Brother Hugh can attest to this. I think Willow Nightingale can be the biggest women's wrestling superstar in the business.
You've never said this before. Am I missing something, brothers? Did he say this to y'all? Because he didn't say this
I mean,
to me. Brother guy.
she's on AEW. It's not a lot of room to talk about her. I've seen the growth since our days at WSU, and it's biased. That's. I've watched her, and she has something that no woman in AEW has. So I'm hoping they take advantage of that. The only person who does have it, that it factor that I'm looking for, that I'm about to name, is the person who's the CEO, or now, is Mercedes. And that's the ability to connect with little girls.
There you go. Yeah.
Willow has that.
Okay, I got you.
And then you take that plus the wrestling skills. She's has
not
that
afraid
ability
to mix it up either.
Yeah. So I think it was called New York Wrestling Connection back in 2019. This is the days of when Wrestling for the Culture used to come on every Sunday night. Brought to you by yours truly. Willow tried to turn heel, and she formed with a black faction out of Long Island. It just didn't hit the same.
Seemed forced.
If y'all remember, we saw Willow Nightingale take on Roxy, now known as Roxanne Perez, at the final ROH show in Baltimore.
Yes.
And the way that at this time, Roxy's super baby face. Now, I was happy. This is my first time seeing her wrestle after watching her all through Title Match Network and everything. She comes in as the ROH Women's Champion. Willow has the crowd in her hand. That felt like that night, everybody in Baltimore wanted Willow to leave with the championship. To the point Roxy got booed, and Roxy never got booed anywhere. I remember, and it was just like, wait, look, I know we want a black lady, but Roxanne is also color, but no, but Willow has a crowd connection that you just can't teach. And like they said, when the Ravens drafted Jonathan Ogden over the other, it was a big time running back at the time. They said they told the GM, "You'll be able to sleep at night." Willow Nightingale's that person. You don't have to worry about her doing nothing crazy or anything. Like you might have to worry about certain wrestlers or whatever. And like I said, the in-ring stuff takes care of itself. Last year, her and Mercedes had a good match. A couple times, even when Mercedes, they called the audible and New Japan Strong for the New Japan Strong title tournament, and she was their champion. But I really hope that they maximize her and really, because if this is something, and I get they don't cater to children per se, but children are going to gravitate to wrestling. That's just, it is what it is. You know what I mean? So
it's by default.
Yeah, it's by default. You know what I mean? Because think about when we were kids, right? If we would have seen, let's just say ECW was on 10 years sooner, right? We're 5 and 6. If we're changing the channel, we're going to stop and watch. So you can get some of those kid-friendly dollars, meaning you got parents who are going to buy 2 tickets because for them and their child with a Willow Nightingale. And it goes back to what Big Swole said. Her daughter says nobody that she could connect with. Because Jay Cargill wasn't that person. Jay Cargill is a superhero, but she's a very a natural heel, and she was a great heel. Now you have your uber baby face, and I expect to see Willow Nightingale versus Mercedes Moné for the women's title within 2 years, and that could be the ultimate chase when they crown Willow.
I think so, absolutely, because when you put it that way, as far as a heel is concerned with Mercedes, she's a student of the game. Like she is pound for pound one of the best performers in the world today. Like
and this match right here will be a part of that package. The show,
of course. Because, and that's the key word right there, range. But are we not going to talk about Mercedes though? You haven't noticed nothing about her. I like her a lot more now. Okay, I don't know. I was like, okay, you've been embracing some things. That's right.
Yeah,
eat them grits. All right.
You say grits?
Yeah, I was like, okay.
More like that Jimmy Fool steak, man.
That's some thick grits too.
Yeah.
Not the warm ones.
I still want to stick to your ribs a little bit.
I got a message from my lady. It was like, Yo, is it me or I said I told you that 2 weeks ago?
So it's not just me then. So I'm not the only one to notice.
That's why.
I just went,
Why you gotta say she Sasha Banks again? Because
yeah,
the city's no neighbor looking kind of.
Yeah,
What
I was
happened?
like, yo, look up like what she got going on.
I'll tell you this though.
Mhm.
Another thing that they did this right. Slowing this process. Now her versus Tony Storm. They closed the show on Dynamite. Hell of a segment, you know. And I really hope they can keep this momentum from an awesome pay-per-view. Because here's the thing, right?
Mhm.
Brother God touched on something very key about these head-to-head matches.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna take it a step further. Y'all may be surprised what I'm about to say.
Uh-oh.
WWE could really lose those head-to-head wars. Excuse me. TKO Group could really lose those head-to-head wars, and it's all.
Do tell. I'm intrigued.
Ticket prices. When people was up there talking about the ticket prices from All In versus what's that the same week as like Evolution?
I believe so.
And
That's coming up. Yeah.
Sorry. I am not a fan of Evolution 2 on that date at all. This is set up to fail.
You split the audience like that.
You split the audience, and I was never. Y'all know I love women's wrestling.
I know. This is why I'm so in shock to hear you say what you're saying right now.
Y'all know I love women's wrestling, but my issue,
analyst on us.
My issue with Evolution 2.
One,
it was announced too soon. So now you want people to travel within a month, make travel plans. We all know flights go up as you get closer to the date.
Summer. Yeah, sure.
And if WWE was really pushing the needle forward, there wouldn't be a need for Evolution 2, brother. Because that means we would have really had more women's matches on the show. There's no evolution needed for NXT because you can tell us 3 or 4 great stories on that show. Shawn Michaels do it every week. You'll sit there watch. It's 2 hours. I've watched the show, and it's been an hour that went past, and I done got 3 women's matches. And I just start to see a couple men's segments in between, but it's like you get more. So if they was really pushing the needle forward, we would have more women's matches. Now you can still have an evolution and celebrate the women, but don't do it a month's notice. Like that's just ridiculous. And now, like I said, so now that's going against their WrestleMania. No, this gonna be like, you know what? All right, we gave it to y'all. So I'm not a fan of that. I am, but I do think if AEW and WWE continue to have these head-to-heads, it's gonna go the opposite way. Because if we're really being honest, the everyday working wrestling fan is being priced out. And I honestly wore the shirt as a rib because the talk about WrestleMania going back to Vegas.
Boo.
But if WrestleMania go to Saudi Arabia, that's it. It's not coming back. Royal Rumble's going there. Why would you come back?
Especially the amount of money they're gonna make. Are you kidding me?
The money, but also the fans, you still gonna get that reaction because the WrestleMania reactions. I haven't gone back and watched the show per se, like every week, but I know for a fact. I've been in arenas like when Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens won, it was loud in SoFi. Jey Uso won, it was loud. It wasn't SoFi loud. And the reason is because when you got those high dollar, high roller prices, it's not going to give those, you're not going to have that same effect because it's not the diehards. It's the, like look at the Knicks game the other night. The first few rows, like, it's the celebrity roles, unless it's your Spike Lee's in them. But and that's what's going to happen with WWE. Now, this is why I got to give AEW credit. Yeah, it's like some days it seems like they took a step back, but if they keep going this train, then people's like, you know what? I'm a WWE fan. I can't afford to go, so I'm gonna just take my child to this AEW show because at least it's some wrestling.
Well, yeah, that's that's how our parents used to be. Like,
Yep.
all right, well, like, all right, well, we couldn't go here, but I'm gonna take him at least here because this is something. All right.
But it's crazy because
no, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
I was about to say, because that's just consumerism naturally, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you might find yourself actually becoming emotionally attached to what it is that you just kind of went to by mistake. Go ahead, brother guy.
No, because Channel from Four Sides of the Ring said he'll go. What do you say, Hugh? I'll spend $40 at an AEW show and get 27 matches instead of spending $200 at a WWE show and get 5 matches. Or something crazy. He made that analysis. He was like, I will always go to an AEW show because
that's
it's
before you get a crab pretzel.
Yes. So, and it's crazy because the fact that Evolution, y'all knew it was coming.
Yep.
But then you change WrestleMania plans, which is going to hurt the industry. But it's because you can, not because of you care about the business, because you can. Whatever this is going to cause, it's clearly going to cause a shift. But now Evolution is going the same day as All In, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't care how much AAA or TNA you infuse in this. I hate to say it, the stadium is probably going to be more affordable than the arena price.
That's crazy. That's part of the problem. That
and look where it's at. It's in Texas, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's all in Texas. Right?
Woo!
Yeah. Where's Evolution?
Atlanta.
Okay. So we all in the South. Man,
it's gonna be tough.
I don't like TKO group, bro.
See places that you can get to affordably, but to your point, Hollywood, All In was announced how many years ago? They announced that like 17 years ago before AEW even started. They said we have this stadium. I feel like that's how long it's been announced. They've been talking about this stadium for at least a year.
We went to the show. You see all in banners. They were giving away tickets, so wasn't it? They was like,
really? They gave away tickets to it,
yeah. So man, I wouldn't expect this part of the conversation, but you brothers are absolutely right. We sometimes neglect the conversation of the consumerism and how it affects the fan. And hey, maybe this is what drives competition in a different direction. Well, yes, the TKO group has probably financially said, look, man, you can jack the prices up. You can pay them what they want. It's going to happen. But there is something to brand loyalty when it comes to a more affordable situation. We see it now in high school sports where Adidas and Nike is always fighting back and forth for eyes. But now Adidas is paying high school kids now NIL deals, millions of dollars. I'm like, and it's like, okay, cool. So you just signed 23 high school kids, and what that's going to establish is brand loyalty. It don't matter what your stuff looks like. It don't matter how it feels. Nike may be superior product, which is what they brag about. We have superior, and that's it. They do. We get it. But when you establish brand loyalty with children, and then they grow up, and they're like, look, you've been putting money in my pocket, in my family's pocket since I was 17, 18 years old. And you say same thing with Travis Hunter.
Family. Look, we're Adidas family here.
Same thing with Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter turned down a Nike deal because he was able to secure a $3.2 million NIL deal for his younger brother, who I didn't even realize he was still in high school. He said, yeah, that's why I did it. I'm like, right. So you think I'm going to go back to anything else after they didn't pay me that kind of money? So you pay me that before I did anything. So after a while, you say, okay, cool. Yes, you're winning the race now, but we're not trying to beat you right now. We're trying to beat you 5-10 years down the line. And if we have 13 of the top high school kids that have established new brand loyalty, guess what happens? When the little kids watching them going to want to be just like them too. I want to be just like you and get an Adidas deal. I'm going to start wearing your stuff. And then all of a sudden, and think about it. At one point, Nike wasn't always the number one shoe brand in the world. At one
it was
point,
Reebok,
Adidas was. At one point, Reebok was. Yeah, in the 90s. At one point, but then Nike had a plan in motion, like, okay, cool. Let's not compete now. Let's prepare for when this runs out and we complete later. And then look where you got. We're looking at the same situation. And according to what you guys said, that's like that same consumer structure. With real family consumer science right here is following trends in the wrestling community. You guys are really, really smart and good at this whole talking wrestling stuff. This is what I'm talking about. There's a level of intelligence that flows in this show that people need to be exposed to, because we just gave you guys a whole college level family and consumer science, consumer breakdown, how it applies to us wrestling fans. Whew, gentlemen.
For free.
For free. You eat no tuition. You know they cut funding to the Department of Education. So you're welcome, man.
Thank you, Linda
Right.
McMahon.
Too soon.
Too soon.
Sorry.
You brothers, you brothers never cease to amaze me. This is unbelievable. Once again, we have gone through. We're wrapping this up right, Nate. So don't sweat. I promise you, you guys have literally done it again. You guys are geniuses, and the more people hear these things, the better off they're going to be as wrestling fans. That's what we all can agree on. Because man, you guys dropped some gems tonight, man. And you know what? I think because we've walked away with giving people a sense of an educational uplift. I don't think we walked away as heels, except Brian.
Feel free to hit the super chat if y'all want to throw some dollars.
If you want to support our tuition-free education that we just gave you all, hit the super chat and please don't. You see how that was? Yeah, there you go. You saw what I did there. And trust me, donate and also follow us on all of our social media platforms, on Instagram, on X, on YouTube at Wrestling Realm. Subscribe to Patreon, Twitch, and YouTube at The Wrestling Realm. Also follow Championship Culture on Instagram at Championship Culture _. Don't forget, Championship Culture is every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Season 4 begins June 10th. Full of surprises. But goodness gracious, brothers, we spent over an hour talking about how good AEW was. I think we have evolved and turned the corner. I'm proud of us, man.
Don't worry. We'll be back
Evolved
next week.
He said, "Don't worry, next week we're back." There he is, still in heel fashion. See, I tried.
What we talking about? What we talking about next? How kayfabe is dead?
You know what? I think that might be the first episode of Realness Reacts. There's a lot of I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, thank you, Natalia.
Yeah, it's I remember I was watching, there was people in the uproar about the new Netflix show coming out with WWE, and I was like,
yeah.
Everybody's like, why are we doing this? And I'm like, well, don't we know these things already as it is? Are we not nosy? Everybody wants to book, right? They say, okay, cool, let's show you what we actually do. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't believe what we're going to see is going to be legitimate either. I think they're just
it's going to be a story. It's another story.
I think they're going to trick us. Yeah, bingo. We'll see. Yes, but they're going to apply it to something we actually care about. See, Total Divas, we cared about the women. We cared about their lives outside of the ring. So it's like, okay, cool. I love Nikki Bella and her friends versus everybody who's a wrestling fan thinks I can book a match. I can put it together. Why didn't they do this? They're like, okay, cool. Let's give them something to look at. And I know Triple H and I know The Rock. Anytime Dave LaGreca starts spazzing on his show about why a wrestling angle went a certain type of way, I was like, oh, snap, they got us. I said, we're grown men and women spazzing about a fictional entertainment.
I'm passionate,
And literally, we watch it every day with the press conferences and the podcast. I'm like, bro, this is all set up. You're not going to convince me Karrion Kross isn't doing what he's doing on purpose. You're not convincing me that they're not trying to get sympathy for Bayley because she's probably got something. You're not going to convince me that Triple H said, look, let's go there.
Go to Bayley's Instagram.
There. Say yes.
All right, go on the boat. He's on the boat.
They're having a fun time. And
she's showing them tats. Why she can't wear the shorts?
He said tats, right?
I can't wear shorts. He said I can't wear the shorts for a reason. I like me some Bayley, and she's showing why she can't wear them shorts.
Brother, guy's sweating. We got to get out of here. He's talking about Bayley. But there you have it. I think there's so many other things that I think they're trying to reprogram us. They're trying to the stuff we think we knew. They're using that stuff as part of the gimmicks now. And like, no, let's. It's like, no, if they think that's what we're doing, let's just do it and convince them. Oh, no, that's exactly how they do it because I saw it on TV. But there's one cardinal rule. If you see it on TV, most likely, ladies and gentlemen, it is not real. And on that note, we are out of here. We will see you next week here on the Wrestling Realm Now podcast. And usual, I've been saying this lately. We are out of here. Wrestling fans, do yourself a favor and always stay wrestling fans. We are gone. We out. We'll catch you next week. Peace.
Houston, we have a problem.
For all exclusive shows and bonus material, subscribe to our Patreon channel at patreon.com/thewrestling_realm. You can watch all of our Wrestling Realm content anytime on youtube.com/thewrestling realm.